all those years. But Albert couldn't find a job as a teacher. So he got another job. A simple, quiet job in a government office. An office where he worked with other people's ideas and inventions. He did his work very well and very quickly. So quickly that he had lots of extra time to think and wonder. Albert watched a lump of sugar dissolve and disappear into his hot tea. How could this happen? He watched the smoke from his pipe swirl and disappear into the air. How could one thing disappear into another? Then he began to figure it out. He thought about the idea that everything is made out of teeny tiny moving bits of stuff, far too tiny to see, little bits called atoms. Some people didn't believe that atoms existed, but Albert's figuring helped prove that everything in the world is made of atoms, even sugar and tea, even smoke and air, even Albert and you. Even this book is made of atoms. Then Albert thought about motion. He realized that everything is always moving, moving through space, moving through time. Even sound asleep, we're moving, as our planet circles the sun, and our lives travel into the future. Albert saw time and space as no one ever had before. Albert wrote down his new ideas, put them into envelopes, and sent them to science magazines. The magazines printed everything Albert sent. He hoped that scientists and professors would be interested, and they were, very interested indeed. They asked Albert to come work with them and teach with them. For the first time in his life, people started to say, Albert is a genius. Now Albert could spend all his days doing what he loved, imagining, wondering, figuring, and thinking. Albert Einstein is a genius! Albert thought about very, very big things, like the size and shape of the entire universe. He thought about very, very small things, like what goes on inside the atoms that everything is made of. He thought about mysterious forces, like magnetism and gravity. He discovered whole new ways to understand how all these things work. Too small to see, much too small. Everywhere Albert went, he would think and think. One of Albert's favorite thinking places was his little sailboat. He loved to let his mind wander as the wind blew him across the water. Sometimes, when Albert was having a tough time with a tricky problem, he would put it aside and play his violin. Music made Albert happy. He said it helped him think better. Albert even chose his clothes for thinking. His favorites were his comfy, old, saggy, baggy sweaters and pants, and shoes without socks. He said now that he was grown up, no one could tell him to put on his socks. My feet are happier without socks. In the town where he lived, he became known for wandering around, deep in thought, sometimes eating an ice cream cone, always recognizable with his long, wild hair, which by then had become quite white. Everywhere Albert went, he tried to figure out the secrets of the universe, and he never forgot about the beam of light that he rode so long ago in his imagination. Albert figured out that no person, no thing, could ever zoom through space as fast as a beam of light. He figured that if he could travel near the speed of light, crazy things would happen. Only minutes would pass for Albert, while years and years went by for the rest of us. This idea was so amazing, people didn't believe